Okay, so we're dealing with our money and we see this term CD. Okay, and so most of the times we think CD, there's my CD, right? But is this what we're talking about? No, it is not. What are we talking about? If we're talking about money, we're talking about a certificate of deposit. Well, what the heck is that? Well, here it is. A CD is type of federally insured savings account. So it's a savings account. It's going to have a fixed interest rate and it's going to have a fixed date of withdrawal. And that end of that time is called the maturity date. And so what's really the big difference here? It means you agree to leave your money in for a set amount of time. You're putting it in and not taking any money out of that account. So that term length, during which time you can't access the funds without paying a penalty. So we're talking about money that you know that you can set aside and leave there, and leave in that account for the entire chunk of time that's the term length, and not have to take anything out of that account. Okay? The bonus is then you get to make a little bit more interest on that than you would normally. So what we're doing then is we're handing the cash over to the bank and we're telling them we're going to leave it there with them. We're going to leave it with them, okay, for whatever time is determined. And now when we're doing this, hey, we've done this before, right? Compound interest, correct? There's our formula. Here's what everything means. A is how much do I have in the account. P is how much money did I put into the account. R is my interest rate. Remember, we changed that by moving the decimal 2 places. T is how many years am I leaving it in the account, and N is the number of times per year the interest is added in. And when we were doing this previously, we were using 12 for N because we were getting that interest compounded on a monthly basis. Okay? And so let's focus on that one piece of that formula. How many times per year is it being added in? That's what N is. Well, if we're leaving the money in there, we've agreed to leave it in for whatever chunk of time, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, whatever it is, we're going to make more interest on that. And so now it's going to be compounded daily, which means N is going to be a different number. So what are we going to use for N as we determine how much money we have in this account? We're going to use 365 now for N. We used 12 before, and now we're using 365 because it's compounded daily. Right? So now let's look at an example. And again, we've already done this work. P is 5,000. R is 2.5%. T is 3 years. But now N is 365 because it's my certificate of deposit. It's being compounded daily. And so now it's just a matter of plugging the numbers in. What are we going to put there? Well, that's going to be my 5,000 because that's what P is. What goes on the top of my fraction? 0.025 because that's what R is. What's going to go in the bottom of the fraction and at the start of my exponent? Well, that's going to be 365. Again, that's my N value because it's daily, it's 365. And then what number goes here? Well, that's T, right? So that's going to be 3. So now it's just a matter of doing the math. And again, you need to practice. Here's the answer to that. So A is $5,389.41. That value, that A number, is what's called the maturity value. That means that's how much money that I have in that account at the end of my 3 years. Okay, so when my 3 years is up, I get $5,389.41, the maturity value. All right, now you're going to do one. Okay, so P is $2,500, R is 3.25%, T is 2.5 years, and N again is 365 because it's my certificate of deposit. Okay, what value are we going to put in right here for P? Perfect, 2,500. What value goes right here in the top of our fraction? Awesome, 0.0325. What's the number that's going to go in the bottom of my fraction and here in my exponent? Great, 365, and what's our last value to fill into that exponent? Awesome, 2.5. And so now we've got the formula set up. Now what do? Determine the maturity value. Do the math. So what is the maturity value of this certificate of deposit? Excellent job, $2,711.60. Perfect. And so you look at an ad for a certificate of deposit at the bank, and we're looking at this information, 1.60%, 18 months. However, it says T in my formula is the number of years. I got 18 months. So Mr. Bill's like, oh no, what do I do now? Be nice to be able to figure that out in terms of years, because that's what T needs to be in my formula. Thank goodness we all have 12 months in our calendar, don't we? And so all I have to do is take the number of months, divide it by 12. That's my value for T for the formula. So in this particular instance, I do 18 divided by 12. I get 1.5. That's T. That's what's going into the formula, not this 18. And so let's utilize that. There's $3,000 for P. My interest rate is the 1.60% that we had there. T is 18 months, which is what we had in that ad. And again, N is 365 because it's a certificate of deposit. And so again, let's plug the numbers in. What value is going right in here for P? Awesome, 3,000. What are we putting in the top of our fraction for R? Perfect, 0.016. What value is going in here for the denominator and this exponent, our N value? Great, 365. Now here's the important one. What number are we putting in here for T? Awesome, the 1.5 that we had just figured out previously. Excellent, so now we have the formula set up. Now we can do the math, get the maturity value. So on this certificate of deposit, what is my maturity value when the 18 months is up? Excellent, $3,072.87. Beautiful. Let's do another one. I'm putting 7,000 in. It's 1.75% for the rate. I'm going to leave this one in for 30 months. And N is, again, because we have the certificate of deposit, it's daily interest, and is 365. Okay, let's plug them in. What am I putting right in here for P? Awesome, 7,000. What's going up here for R? Beautiful, 0.0175. And then for N, it's again filling both those spots. What are we plugging in there? Excellent, 365. And what's going in here for T? Remember, it is not going to be 30. So what will we put in for T? Awesome, 2.5. Beautifully done. Now we're ready to do the math. Let's determine that maturity value. What will this certificate of deposit be worth after 30 months? Fabulous, $7,313.04. So again, now what are we doing for security of deposit? We're using our compound interest formula just like we've used before. A is going to be our maturity value, so keep that in mind when you see that term. It means use the formula, get the answer. P again is how much should I put into the account. R is still the interest rate. T is number of years. Keep that in mind. So if they tell you months, we have to divide by 12 to put the correct number in for T. And then N in this case, because it's daily, is always going to be 365. Okay? Jal Haeseo. What was that? Well, that's good work in Korean. I'm practicing again. So good job by you guys. And so now let's get it done. Well, what are we getting done? The 23 Certificate of Deposit quiz. I look forward to your great work.